Alright, so today I'm going to be telling you guys a story about one of the worst jobs I ever had. In fact, it probably was just the worst job I ever had. So a couple years ago, I was working as a customer service representative for an investment bank that I'm sure you've all heard of. And the thing is, like, when I was working there to start off, it was not that horrible. All they had me do at first was just basically look at documents that were submitted by clients. So people would have accounts. I wouldn't really be talking to customers directly like they said I would on the job description, I guess. Instead, what would happen was there would be people who were calling on behalf of other customers, and then I would talk to them about what was cool or what wasn't on their accounts, stuff like that. But at first, I didn't even have to talk at all. All I had to do was just look at papers that were submitted and see if whatever the agents gave for their customers matched what they were supposed to match, or all the documents were in order and stuff. And I'm like, this is the easiest thing ever. And mind you, I was getting paid more for this job than I've ever been paid before. The last job I had before this was minimum wage. My state at the time was like $8 and something cents. It was like trash. This is like way bigger. I mean, it wasn't like a lot, but you know what I mean. Like it was a lot more than it was before. So I was feeling myself. And on top of that, it was like a hybrid role too. I was like, man, this job is perfectly fine. And then disaster struck. So by like the second month, sometime like late July, early August or whatever, they were like, okay, time for you to actually do what you were signed up to do. And they had me on phones. They had me trying to do like phone calls and stuff. And I have worked after this customer service jobs and stuff. This was too much. The problem wasn't like customers being rude or something, whatever, because first off, they weren't even customers I was talking to. It was like other agents. They didn't even get that far. The reason this was unbearable for me was because I literally did not know what I was doing. I had to have 50,000 tabs open to understand what policy whatever agent was talking about at the time. And at a certain point, it's like, okay, I just can't keep doing this. It would be so frustrating to be in a call where somebody would be talking to me and I would have no idea what I was doing. Then I have to put them in hold and try to ask some supervisor what I was supposed to be doing at the time. And I wouldn't really get a response, or the response I was getting, I wouldn't understand. Or I would try to, not even ask for help. I don't want to waste anyone's time. And even if I try to ask, it'll take a long time anyway. Let me just try to find whatever they're looking for in the tabs. And that would take a million years. Then when I find the tab I'm looking for, I even knew what it's saying. And it was a whole bunch of nonsense and it was horrible. And also, my particular computer, the way it worked was, even though we were talking on headphones, there was an actual like literal phone on our desks that we would have to do some sort of code in to transfer calls to the correct department. That was a lot of calls. A lot of calls were people who were like trying to do something specific that didn't really apply to our department. So we'd have to transfer them to somebody else who actually did what they were talking about. But first of all, I didn't even know what the correct department was half the time. And two, even if I did know what it was, my specific phone had like a broken transfer button. Now it was just a complete L because I would try to transfer, it wouldn't work, and then there'd be a bunch of people on the other line who just didn't get anything happen for them. And at a certain point, I was like, yeah, I just can't keep doing this. One time in the middle of my shift, I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can go like Uber Eats driving or something. So during my lunch, I don't know if I downloaded the app then and there or if I already downloaded it beforehand, whatever the case was. I took like an order for Uber Eats and I delivered it, and I was like, this is so much better than the nonsense I have to deal with regularly. So I think I just like didn't go back to work for that day. Then I come back later, like the next day, and I'm like, yeah, this still is trash, horrible. So I'm taken aside by my like main manager guy, and he's like, hey, I noticed that you just stopped showing up yesterday. What happened? And at first I was trying to be like, well, I don't really get into it. It's kind of, whatever. I don't want to talk about it because it's kind of crusty to like tell your boss like, oh, I just like left the job to like do something else. But after a while, he was like really, really pressing it. And I was like, okay, fine. I went to do Uber Eats driving, whatever. And he was like, you can't have like two jobs at the same time, right? And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to do that again. And he's like, okay, well, that's fine. And then I go back to my desk. I see there's a new meeting scheduled out of nowhere for like the next hour. So before this, you had like a meeting scheduled every Thursday or something for your progress reports, like stuff like that. And I'd been in the job for like a month or half or what at that point. But I had only been like on calls for like a week or something. And I was supposed to have my meeting scheduled for like Thursday or something, but it got pushed to like today, which was earlier in the week. And I was like, okay, there's no way that I just had like a talk with him in person about me like ditching my job, and he's just going to say like a random meeting that's gonna happen like in an hour for nothing. I'm definitely getting fired. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna give you the chance. No, it was either during lunch or like I asked for like a bathroom break. I was like, hey, can I like, do something, like whatever. I just walked out. Maybe I didn't even ask for a break. Maybe I just like turned my computer off and walked out. But either way, I was like, I'm not about to get fired. Like, I'm just like not showing up. So I didn't show up for the job ever again. I got a text from the company contracting me being like, your contract been terminated, yeah, whatever. I didn't even get to Uber Eats drive for that long either, for other reasons. And I'm like, that's an L. So I was at a job for like a minute until I got another one, and that's it.